Hey, welcome back. Red the Bread here with another Red Bee podcast. Just still playing that same tuning, missing string. Music-wise, I don't have much for you this week. Been real busy. I'm actually just kind of recording this Saturday night. Gonna do something quick. Been a busy week. But let's dive in. We have just a couple chords here. Basically 2 chords. I'm still trying to find that third chord, so sounds kind of happy. No, it's really just so basically it's just trying to find what comes next for that third chord. And it already sounds like another song that we have. I just can't remember what song that is. But anyway, I mean, it's a start. And we'll see what comes about. But as a songwriter, you just kind of noodle around. I haven't even really had a whole chance to play guitar this week, which is kind of sad. But that's all right. It's just been a busy family week. This week, Isaiah, our 10-year-old, he had some friends stay over, 5 or 6 or 7 of them. And, they had a good time. It's always interesting to see the group dynamics. What's the word? They kind of migrate. They kind of do they'll do something for a little bit, and then they'll go off and do something else, and then they'll switch gears, and then they'll go do something else, and it's kind of interesting how they kind of move like that, kind of herd around in a way. But, kind of rolling with those guys, you're hearing new things, you're seeing new things, and they're just funny as heck. I mean, to be honest, I don't think, I haven't laughed this much in a long time. Now, I think that my personality, I like making up stories, and if we're going somewhere, talking about crazy stuff like Big Bob or the Crazy Ed, the neighbor down the road, with the chickens, it's always some kind of story or making something up, and with cops or something. And so, I think there's something inside of me that's been in there for a long time, and it's something about, trying to get somebody's attention, or try to shine that spotlight on me, or try and hype something up. And, that's been with me for the longest time, spending the night at buddy's house, and myself. I think it kind of takes me back there, but I was always the kind of person that, wanted to, it didn't matter what somebody else's property or some person's, I would say I was always looking for adventure, and if that involved throwing a brick at a car or doing something stupid to get that attention, kind of took me back to that. So, kind of interesting, but they did pretty good. There was one time where Sarah was like, "Hey, there's are you monitoring the boys, because the one guy's carrying around the axe handle and another one has a sledgehammer in his hands or something." What the heck game? What were they playing? And so that was when I had to kind of wake up and go out there and at least get the hammer. So there's broken bricks around. There's the tether ball. It's missing the tether ball on the rope now. But for the most part, they did pretty good. So to me, it's get them off the TV and let's go out and have an adventure. So that's a big thing for me. I want the youth to be able to experience the stuff that we did. Because when we went and stayed the night over at somebody's house, we didn't just go there. Well, we did play a lot of video games, but we went out and, we went on an adventure. We went out at night. We explored. We, went and did things. So I feel like it's kind of my responsibility to go out and have a little bit of healthy fun. So, we go down to Big Bob's Pond and have some fun there. We went fishing. I mean, these guys they're so creative, and like they found a frog, and then all of them found a frog, and then all of a sudden they're swimming like kind of where we're fishing in the river, and then they stopped fishing, and they had these frogs and toads or something on their heads, and they're swimming with their frogs and toads, and I don't even know how to describe it. You can't even put it into words. You'd have to go and hang out with a group of young people like that, 10-year-olds. I've experienced that one summer over at Common Ground that I worked as I was kind of more like a fill-in leader, but you go and you hear the conversations of these young people, and man, it is so interesting. It cracks me up. But anyway, so that was 2 or 3 days of seeing how these young guys navigate different challenges and just everyday life, man. They're big eaters. One guy, he kept the fire going, and like the whole time, like all night the next day. He cooked you usually have like these marshmallow, you put the marshmallow on that long stick. He put like the whole pack of hot dogs on and started cooking them hot dogs. It's just something I never would have thought anybody would do. And, so it was definitely refreshing. But anyway, yeah, during the week, I've continued to dive into the Word. Got a little bit of Old Testament here and a little bit of New Testament. Now, again, I've been working on the fear of God study, and man, it's just thing is so fun. But here's one from Ecclesiastes 6:9, and I feel like this one. Take this one to heart because this one's a challenge for me. It says, enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. And then just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. So, for me, that's a huge thing. Enjoying what I do have rather than desiring what I don't have. And I think it's probably about like everything. For me, a big thing is like a boat. Like we live right by the lake, and we have a canoe and we have a john boat, and a kayak. So we have plenty there, but at the same time, like I want a bigger boat so that we can explore further and travel more. But at the same time, if I'm if I'm living like my mentor Nicholas, he gave me the example of turning that over. If the Lord wants me to have a big boat, then we'll have a big boat, and it'll show up in a unique and special way. So I guess what I need to do now is just be thankful for what I do have. I feel like I'm the same way with recording stuff and music instruments. Like I have a lot of equipment, but a lot of it I don't really use. And then, I always want some kind of new piece of guitar equipment or a new guitar, so that's a hard thing. It's a challenge for me. So nice to read that, and I would say even harder to take it to heart. But it's just something, it's just one little step that I can be doing of saying, why don't you record a guitar part with one of them old effects units, or use what you do have, instead of trying to look for something that, something better or more. So, I mean, I have how many guitars? 4 or 5. And so, I do believe in having the right tools, and all these different guitars, there's something different that comes out of them, a different way you have to play, a different melody comes out depending on the strings, the tuning. So if you're a guitar player, I definitely recommend having a couple different guitars. For the New Testament, we have, this is kind of what, off the wall. A lot of the times, this is from the little travel Bible. It's pretty banged up. It's one of my favorites, but I just read this just the other day, and I enjoyed it. I like kind of skipping around and just picking up and going over whatever's underlined or just little things. Good reminder. But Mark chapter 3 says, another time he went into the synagogue, meaning Jesus, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." 4. Then Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" But they remained silent. 5. He looked around at them in anger and, deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts, said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Then the Pharisees went out and began to plot with the Herodians how they might kill Jesus. So, man, I would say, for myself, a couple things stand out to me. It would be, that the guy with that shriveled hand, stand up in front of everyone. Like, whoa, man, I think I would be pretty intimidated. Like, I don't know about this, man. Like, what's happening? Everybody looking at you, all them eyes on you. But that was cool. Obviously, he went out there and did it. But I guess what kind of jumps out to me is in that verse 5. He looked around at them in anger and, deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts. And you say, well, wait a second, Red. You say God is love. God is love. What's going on there then? Why would Jesus look at some of those Pharisees like that? Well, you have to ask him. I feel like, yes, God is love. At the same time, I feel like the scriptures, Jesus is painting a picture of God in the flesh, of what God is truly like. And there's so much mercy and so much compassion and love. At the same time, yes, there is anger and there is deep sadness, as in why? Well, the hardened heart, the stubborn hearts. And when I feel like that was me for the longest time. And when somebody, they're closed off to only hearing what they want to hear. And, that stubborn heart, that stubborn mule that doesn't want to go or is not budging. What do you do for that? I don't know. I mean, obviously Jesus had a deep distress of being frustrated, or, they're just not getting it, and I would really like to see that like his look when Jesus looked. I'd like to see that anger, but also that deep distress. I could just almost just see it, just kind of imagining it like a combination, like the anger, but then he has that deep sadness of, man, this is so disappointing that you're missing out. Like they're trying to trap him or trying to trap Jesus, and here he is working this miracle at the same time. These Pharisees are not seeing it. They want to try and call him out because he's working on the Sabbath, and so it's interesting that those Pharisees. One more. There it is. That the Pharisees teamed up with these Herodians. I mean, who are these guys? I don't know. I have no clue. But obviously they're plotting how to kill Jesus. So think about the anger and the rage and the hurt and the, like when you want to kill somebody, man, that's not good, man. And so that, I don't know, that angry heart, that it's not a good place to be in, and not for myself. I've experienced that, and God's mercy has come through for me in a big way. Thank God I don't have to feel that way. Is there moments where I get angry and upset? Yeah, I'm human. But at the same time, it's not as bad as it was before, when I was living with my own stubborn heart. And so what's the answer? Well, I don't know. To be honest, it's, I guess to love, to continue being yourself, to continue living in the Spirit, to continue doing miracles, to continue showing up. And if somebody doesn't want to believe and they have a hardened heart, well, then that's on them. And it can be frustrating, but at the same time, it's a part of life. So anyway, that's about it. Just diving a little bit of that scripture. Don't have any really answers, just kind of sharing with whatever I've been reading. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, and keep it short tonight. And God bless, and I appreciate you stopping by. And before I go, I do want to give a shout out to the Man Quest. It's going to be, I'm thinking about limiting it. So if you're on the fence about it, we are starting June 15th, 2025 this year. And I hate to do it, but I am thinking about limiting how many men I'm going to let in. So if you're on the fence and you're a man and you're married and have kids, man, I would say you do not want to miss out on this. This first round's going to be free, so there's no risk. But at the same time, it's a 15-week course, and it's all or nothing. I feel like you're going to have to commit to this before you start it. Like, it's committing probably about a half an hour a day to sharpening your man skills. Of what taking action. It's a lot of action. So if you're not willing to put in some work, a half an hour a day to listen and to learn, but also to practice some of these action steps that we do to be the best man that we can be, forget it. So we don't have time. It's something that you have to be committed to if you want to join. So just putting that out there. And if you haven't signed up, now's the time, because I feel like it's going to get booked up pretty fast. And so if you're on the fence, give me a call. Oh man, what's my number here? 440-616-2298. Give me a call. But again, you have to be a man, and you have to have a wife, and you have to have kids. The course is specifically for a man like that. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be walking with other men, a lot of scripture, a lot of work, but at the same time, you're going to be blessed. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. And God bless. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see what comes out during the week for next week, music-wise and scripture-wise.